This program deals with themes of an adult nature and is intended for a mature audience.
The KTPF Community Talk Show is sponsored by Creganos Castle, South Wales, one of the most haunted castles in Wales. For more information on ghostly and ghastly events, including fright nights, all-night investigations and hen parties, visit www.mosthauntedcastle.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They've landed.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Talk Radio.
You hear us, we hear you.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? My name's Suzanne.
And I'm Steve.
And we are the KTPF Community Talk Show, recommended by Phenomena Magazine, the UK's leading online publication, and the show that one of our listeners said is like sitting down for a coffee with a group of friends. We're not going to stop saying that, I know. And if you just joined us and you've not been with us before, as it said at the top of the show, we are sponsored by Creganos Castle down there in South Wales. And also, just to remind you that listeners' discretion is needed, because this can be of a mature nature that we talk about. Isn't that right, Steve?
Well, we hope to.
Definitely. So what we're going to do is just to give you just an insight of what tonight's all about, what the show's all about. We are keeping the paranormal friendly on www.ktpf.co.uk. And for those who are new to the KTPF, Steve and I started the site back in 2007, and our mission was to try and bring the paranormal world together. In 2012, we decided to have a chat show with The Difference, inviting you to engage in live, friendly discussions with our special guests and various investigating groups from around the world, with variety of topics from cryptozoology to UFOs, while encouraging you and them to share information, advice, and most importantly, friendship. Remember, collaboration, not competition. Although celebrating more on the investigating side of the paranormal, this show incorporates a wide spectrum within this fascinating subject. So if you have any questions, you can use the live interactive chat room, where we will ask our guests for you your questions, or you can call in and ask them yourself, either by Skype on ktpf.paranormalshow or on the phone at 0844 414 3982. Yeah, that's right, I got it right. Later, we will also have the rundown of this month's events news from paranormaleventsforyou.com.
So, Susie, what have we got on tonight?
Tonight, well, we will be asking at around 8:30, is the afterlife real? Okay, and is death is death an illusion? Do we actually die?
No, we're seeing this.
Carla Wills-Brandon is returning to talk to us about this and the departing visions of the dying. Carla's generated so much interest in her last appearance that we can't wait to talk to her again about her research. So that's what's on. But until then, let me just see who's in the chat room. Ooh. So let's give a shout out to those that are there. First of all, I need to shout out to Serenity Sue. Now, if that's our Sue Nally, then happy birthday to you. But if it isn't, then sorry. Welcome, Serenity Sue. Anyway.
If it's not, happy birthday for when it is.
Yeah. We've also got Andy707. He's there with us. And those of you who weren't with us last week, he actually came in the chat room from Munich. See, people join us even when they're on holiday.
He did. We've got the British Paranormal Association. Good evening.
Have we?
Yeah, we have indeed. We
also have the Viscount. He's joined us, as well as Ghost Rider 1973.
Mr. David Lloyd's with us.
Ace Paradox.
And has just popped in.
So we've got quite a few people that are new this week.
And we have 13 viewers. Please come into the chat room.
Yes, please join us.
That's where you can put your questions.
Yeah.
And we will ask them for you.
Right.
Or as Sue said, you can give us a ring.
So, who is the BPA? Do you have a name? That could be Simon. I think that might be Simon, Andy, but I'm not sure. If that is Simon, welcome to the show. And if it is Simon, you will be meeting him, talking to him in the next few weeks, hopefully.
Yes.
So, anyway.
Yes, he has confirmed it.
It has. Right, so one thing I do want to say is to remind everyone, we are unfortunately beholden to live stream. So if anything happens tonight, then please refresh your screen, and if anything happens to us, we will do the same. So please bear with us.
Yes, stay there. We will be right back if something happens. Don't you worry.
And also, just to let you know that whatever happens, we will be putting it onto YouTube later on. Yeah. So and as long as nothing happens like what happened last week, we had a great show. The last guest was on, and as soon as he was about to say goodbye, I lost the end of it. I don't know what happened, but it was recording fine, and then my polder bits decided to go AWOL.
At least we got the bit up to that point.
Yeah, we got the main bit. That was all that matters. So we got the main guest and also our secondary guest. So as I say, we got Carla on later, but until then, we will be getting the observations. New this week and for the rest of the week, for the rest of the time, we found Twitter, didn't we, Steve? Or rather, we revisited Twitter because we opened up an account years and years ago and never bothered. So what we've decided to do is...
thanks to the Viscount got twittering.
So what we're going to do is... basically, we're going to be twittering stuff to our main KTPF Community Talk Show live page on Facebook. So if you are part of the KTPF on Facebook, if you'd like to join in with the live page, that's what we will be using on a Sunday night.
And if you are following us, we apologise for the amount of tweets you're about to get.
Yes, definitely. So, so off to you with the observations, dear.
Okay, here we go. Well, there's your first link, guys. Is this theatre haunted? CCTV footage captures a spooky moment. A chair moves on its own hours after a medium show. The chair moved miraculously in a hall hours after a psychic show had finished. It was recorded on Sunday at Brookside Theatre in Romford, Essex. Psychic Roy Roberts says, now we have direct proof that the paranormal. Jai Seppel, who runs the theatre, said it was only the what happened there? Only the latest ghostly visit. Get ready to feel ghostly shivers down your spine. This is the haunting moment. A chair was caught on CCTV, apparently moving on its own in a closed theatre. Hours after a psychic finished his show, it was recorded at the Brookside at around 4 a.m. on Sunday. Haunting in the grainy CCTV footage of the main hall at Brookside Theatre, you can just make out a chair ringed, miraculously moving. This is proof of the supernatural, according to Jai Seppel, who runs the volunteer-run Essex Theatre. It is only the latest unexplained event to happen there. Hours earlier, the theatre housed a former war memorial building and was packed with people attending a show by medium Roy Roberts. He told Mail Online he now believes the video could prove there's a resident ghost. When I saw the footage, I jumped up and said, yes, now we have direct proof. I had a feeling earlier that there was a presence of something, a playful presence of a child to one side of the room. It seems that must have been it, he said. It doesn't surprise me. It's the sort of place it's really active. So when I heard about what had happened, I was really excited. Ghost Rider has already seen this footage, as some of you may have done. And he thinks there's a figure in there somewhere. So you have to have a quick look yourself, guys. And then you can give your opinion on whether Ghost Rider is right. I won't tell you where he said he sees it, because obviously we don't want to lead you on there. Here we go. Amazing pictures of giant holes in the clouds. What are they? First off, they are not chemtrails, and they are not HARP. They are sky elementals known as sylphs. That they often don't appear punching their way through a cloud. So if you do witness this, you have been graced with a visitation from beings who were on Earth since the beginning, and that is millions of years before the first caveman grunted. Some of the clouds that these sylphs are in are actually cloud ships. Some of these larger cloud ships are actually cloaked spaceships, and cloaked ships and the sylphs want to make it clear that they are working together. We can see both of them at separate times neutralizing the chemtrails. I'm not sure about the cloaked ships and the sylphs, but the pictures are really nice pictures.
Are they?
Yeah, they are really good pictures. Clean. But it's not my thing. I don't know much about the sylphs.
I bet David Lloyd does.
I bet he does. I seem to remember actually reasoning about them when David came on. So here we go. Here's another link for you. Okay. Ghost figure standing on a staircase caught on camera at 16th century Tudor mansion. The spooky appearance of a solid person was captured by a group investigating paranormal activity at Stanley Palace in Chester. This is the eerie footage which apparently captures the ghost of the 16th century Tudor mansion. A group investigation paranormal activity took the video, which appears to show the image of a person standing on a staircase at Stanley Palace. Sefton paranormal investigators described the figure as a solid person with a visible nose, mouth and hair, which looks first at the camera and then up the stairs. Co-founder Aaron Robinette is seen on the video with team member Joanne Mary at the location they identified as a hotspot. From South Merseyside, they told the Chester Chronicle, "We were informed by the curator that there was a staircase with a door underneath it where a man had died. In the video, I'm sat on a chair and Joe is sat on the staircase. We're calling out to spirits. Nothing happened, but it was only when watching the video back that I saw it appears and disappears in shot, all in front of the camera. We try to disprove it, and if we can't find a natural explanation like shadows or reflection, it's the main reason I believe I can categorize it as paranormal." We have actually done Stanley Palace, haven't we, Susie?
Yes.
As I'm sure many of you have. It's a small building and it's all wood.
Yep. Which is a problem.
It can be a problem. We have picked up many of things actually on the stairs. I'm looking at this video. I can't see what they see, but there is something there. So have a look for yourself, and you can give your opinion. Now, this next one, I can't believe that people still think they can get away with putting this stuff up. This is like it's going to be believed, and check it out. To me, it's obvious that this is not real, or like a remote craft. This is supposed to be a UFO. It's more like a remote control thing, but check it out anyway. It is a short video.
Okay, what else is there, darling?
We are going to go big cats. The big cat debate has been reignited again.
Again?
Oh yes, by a chance photo which captures the beast on the 30th of July. Big cats are again in the headlines with the claimed but disputed sighting in West Cornwall. With new evidence on the phenomenon expected later this year, Lynn Barton examines whether it is the stuff of silly season or a genuine case of concern. In the broad light of the Cornish day, a creature leapt at an amateur photographer, leading to claims that a big cat akin to the beast of Bodmin Moor is yet again on the prowl. Henry Warren was out and about taking pictures in fields near his home in Gwynedd, West Cornwall, when a large cat-like creature pounced. The 19-year-old, who, despite being stunned, managed to keep his finger on the shutter button to grab an image, he was convinced the animal must have been a big cat. The publication of the photograph has once more reignited the debate about whether the West Country is home to packs of secretive puma-like creatures which roam the fields, or as many people claim, that the only thing on the loose is an overactive imagination. Mr. Warren said he was in no doubt about what he saw. Now, as I understand it, there are big cats. We've actually heard them, although we was in Devon at the time.
Mm-hmm. We have.
We heard the puma cry. But as I understand it, anywhere you will find prey animals, i.e. deer and stuff, you are likely to find big cats. And there is a lot of proof out there, if you know where to look, in tracks and scats and the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
So have a look at the picture. It does look like a big cat, but only you can make up your own mind.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. My bosses want me fired because I believe in ghosts. A Department of Veterans Affairs cop convinced his former New Jersey workplace is haunted by evil spirits, says the feds are using his belief in ghosts as an excuse to fire him, the Post has learned. The spooky story pits Valdo Vaher, 48, a retired Army sergeant and former lieutenant in the New York Guard, against the VA, where he began working in 2006. Vaher, who lives in Rockland County, definitely insists otherworldly phenomena are real. This seems strange to some people, but for religious Catholics like myself, many feel as I do about this, that there are spirits in the world, and they sometimes show themselves and are more likely to be doing this in and around hospitals where people suffer and die, he told the Post. Down the VA initiated a long and bitter legal battle to permanently exercise. Valor became it charged he basically too crazy to be a cop. One point he actually was fired, but in 2013, a judge for the Merit System Protection Board in Washington ordered to be rehired. As part of a settlement, he is reassigned from Manhattan VA Hospital to a facility in East Orange County, New Jersey. In February, he was stripped of his gun, placed on modified duty, and reassigned to another New Jersey facility for making bizarre statements and displaying unusual behavior. According to a letter from VA Deputy Police Chief Berners McNeil, Havala has charged for giving a hair-raising talk to a rookie colleague about how their East County command was haunted by evil spirits. Comments the agency suggests posed the safety risk to his co-workers and warranted his dismissal. You should stay away from certain areas here because there are evil spirits, and I will give you some holy salts to ward off those evil spirits, Vara quoted as having told the rookie. He also, on the matter, said he should stay away from some trees. Now, he does sound a bit crazy, but as a devout Catholic, I'm sure Andy will back us up here. They tend to believe that all spirits are evil these days, because as a religion they don't believe in ghosts.
No.
So
no, this is it.
This one's a little bit long, but it proves
It's all right. You've got plenty of time.
something that one of our guests was talking about, the old dowsing. Prove it works, and I personally know it works. And Andy, the person who's a devout Catholic, would be the gentleman I was talking about there, Mr. Voa. Okay, there's a social club uses divine intervention to find a water leak. A leak at a British social club in the Midlands baffled all the high-tech gadgetry of a giant water company, but the problem was eventually sorted out by an ancient mystical art which dates back thousands of years. While workmates scratched their heads on Severn Trent water engineer produced a set of water dividing rods and quickly found the right spot. It was amazing, said Barry Phillips, secretary of Wootton Wen Social Club in Warwickshire. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. I even had a go with the rods myself. It worked for me too. The 200-member social club became alarmed 3 months ago when Severn Trent doubled its monthly direct debit because the water consumption had shot up. The committee suspected a leak because no extra taps or toilets had been installed, and nor an upsurge in members. Severn Trent sent out teams of engineers 4 times to try and locate the source of the leak, but without success. That was despite the 1.8 billion conglomerate equipping staff for the whole range of high-tech detection equipment, including radio wave technology, CCTV probes, special dyes, and even gases. It was thought quite rightly, as it turned out, that the leak was somewhere along the 40-yard drive linking the club to the main road. The problem was where. To dig up the whole tarmac drive would have been costly, time-consuming, and disrupted to the club members arriving by car. Retired civil servant, Barry, who lives in the village, said, "We seem to be getting nowhere when one of the Severn Trent engineers fetched a set of water divining rods from his van. He slowly walked along the drive with a rod in each hand held out horizontally in front of him. Suddenly the rods moved towards each other and the engineer stopped and said it was probably the spot. The drive was excavated, the leak located, and the repair carried out. I had heard of water dividing before, but I had never seen it in action. The club is delighted that the problem has been sorted, and we are now in discussions with Severn Trent about a refund on our overpaid bill." Last night, spokesman for Trent Water, which has 4.3 million customers, said, "We deal with thousands of leaks every year, and our aim is to ensure that this is done quickly and efficiently." So you see, they do still use dowsing rods. When I tell people that, they go, "No, they don't."
I don't know. Well, that one where you were saying about the boss, was it he got fired because he liked ghosts or something?
No, they said they want him fired
Because of it.
Because of his belief and what he's telling people. He's a devout Catholic.
Right, well, I'm going to tell you a story.
And his name is Vaher.
Forgetting
Vaher.
forgetting the devout Catholic or anything like that.
Yes, go on.
I used to be a singer, didn't I?
You did.
And because I do what I do, they seemed to blacklist me, didn't they? Some people, well, two
particular clubs did.
Yeah.
And they happened to be head of the local committee. So.
Yes. So, I can understand partially where he's coming from because, if you're doing something in your spare time, it shouldn't really have anything to do with what your job is or whatever. You know what I mean? Should it?
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't do. One shouldn't affect the other. But in his case, he was bringing it to work.
That's different. If I wasn't bringing it to work.
Yeah, you wasn't. So
no, it was separate. It was nothing I spoke about or whatever. But as I say, because they knew what I did, then it was just
they took offence. But, well, what I say is,
well, their loss is the paranormal's gain. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Look where we are now, doing what we want, what we like doing, isn't it? So, well, just in case you've just joined us, we've been quiet. Who's quiet? I make no bones about ghost hunting when I'm in the schools, but when I'm in the schools, but the occult is kept quiet. Oh, right, yes.
Yeah, no problem.
You're going to give us a song. No, I'm not going to give you a song.
I mean, we used to wear our jackets and stuff.
Oh, yeah, we used to do that.
We didn't talk about it unless we were asked.
So, but as I say, it's it's just the way people are, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, right, just to let you know, just in case anybody's joined us recently, while Steve was doing that, welcome to the KTPF. I also want to give a shout out, as I said, to the YouTubers who are listening to the radio replays. One particular is Chris Mack. He's always listening, isn't he, Steve?
He usually asks for a shout out, and it's stuck.
It has. And also, I also got a message from a young man called Robert Bray.
You did?
Yes, who was asking where another show had disappeared to. And I told him, and he said, oh, well, yours is great, so I've got something else to do on a Sunday night. So whether he's there listening or whether he's listening on YouTube, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Robert.
So, but as I say, Simon says he's lucky. My work colleagues love the paranormal. Damn, down only what's that? I'm down to only 30%.
Battery
You
power.
better get yourself home, Andy.
He can't. He's still got.
I know.
He's still got to break a leg at the bingo.
I know he has. They won't be chucking out until about 9 o'clock, 9:15.
How long you got, Andy?
I don't know. So we at the gala. Mind you, there are other bingo clubs around.
This is true.
You have to say that, don't you?
Yes, you do.
So, but yeah.
Having said that, if you got your cable, I'm sure there's a plug socket somewhere.
And you know, I fancy listening at the bingo. I don't know. If it's not the bingo,
He's got his headphones in.
it's Munich. If it's not Munich, it's Glastonbury. But wherever you are, I don't care where you are, as long as you're listening to the show.
He'll only be with us for another 18 minutes until he gets home.
Right, okay. So, I don't know. But you better hurry up if you want to listen to Carla. Can't get anything to work. Oh my God, Serenity Sue. Why can't you? Refresh.
Well, she must got something to work. She just posted.
Refresh. So, I don't know. But anyway, as I say, we're going to be phoning, Skyping, I should say, Carla soon.
With Carla.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about some weird things that happen when people die.
She's one of them Americans that comes across as being a very happy soul.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she does,
doesn't
doesn't she? Yeah, she does.
I noticed when we was talking to her earlier, she's very up.
And just while I'm waiting to call her, I've only got a couple of more minutes. Just give you a heads up to what's happening next week. Okay, and so next week we have a young man by the name of Stephen Richards. And he's going to be talking about the law of attraction and the power of the mind. He's a qualified clinical hypnotherapist and stress counsellor, also known as the Golden Pen. He's an international best-selling author of over 80 titles, and his many successful self-help books have been translated into foreign languages. Prior to 95, Stephen was penniless, and he started using mind power and has applied the principles to help others turn their lives around. So,
what was that other one that you were saying about earlier? We said we'd give a shout out about he's just won the book prize.
Oh yes,
the non-fiction paranormal book prize. He's just won.
Yes. I don't know what his name is though. That's the trouble.
Never mind.
When I find out,
do we know the name of the book?
No, we don't. Don't know nothing. I didn't say I'd shout it out tonight. I said
I'd
shout it out when I found out about it.
You didn't tell us. Fancy not telling us.
I don't know. Right, we'll get this young lady on the line. She'll be sitting there waiting for us.
Here we go.
So let's find me Skype, and we'll get on with it. Shan't we, Steve?
Oh yes.
You know what they say? Stop talking and get on with it.
Click the button.
We've got to find it first. Hold on, where are we? Still on John. There you are. Right, okay.
Calling Carla.
We hope. Dun dun dun. It's got to go over the airways, you see.
Bounce off a few fragments.
Yeah. All the way to, is it
Texas?
Galveston.
Hey!
Good evening.
Good afternoon!
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you, Carla?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Not too bad. And where are you calling us from? Is it Galveston?
Yes, when you watch the news and you see that a hurricane is coming to the States, and you watch as it travels through the Gulf of Mexico straight toward a little island, that's where I live.
Oh dear. That's not happening yet, is it? I do
So
hope not.
far, so good. A few years ago, we had a big hurricane that dumped enough water to fill up our basement and a lot of our first floor. So we're pretty hardy. We're used to it.
One of our listeners, Doc, who's in
Minnesota.
He said they got storms coming his way on the way up there.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Can you hear Steve okay, Carla?
Yeah, I can hear him.
That's
so
good.
there's storms in Minnesota.
They're on their way.
They're on their way. He's had to stop painting his doors.
Oh, bless his heart.
So.
Well, people like us who live with storms, it becomes pretty regular. It's not something we really freak out about that much. So we always feel sorry for the people who move here from the Midwest.
Yeah. Do you have things hanging outside to give you warnings?
Well, we all are very radar savvy.
Right.
So, of course, I have radar apps on my computer and on my phone. And I have a hurricane chaser app on my phone. So, we're all pretty well informed around here. So, it helps us take care of ourselves.
I bet. Well, just for our new listeners that have joined us since you last been on, because it's been over a year now since we spoke to you. It's been a while. So, can you tell us how did you come to be interested in the deathbed and departing visions?
Well, actually, I have some new information for you. Yeah. Well, to begin with, my mother was very, very ill when I was a child.
Yeah.
And we became very used to the hospital bed and used to that lifestyle. And she tried to do the best she could, but towards the end, she began having some real difficulty. Now, one of the things that I have to tell your listeners is that I come from a family. My grandfather was raised in California, and in the mid-40s, 50s, I think it was more the 50s, there were UFOs that were sighted along the coast of California. And so when I was a child, I would go out into the backyard. My grandfather would be sitting in a lawn chair with a mayonnaise jar full of wine, some cheap rock gut, waiting for the UFOs. My mother, on the other hand, when she became very ill, she went to visit a very famous American healer named Catherine Kuhlman. So some of this open-mindedness was there when I was a child, but unfortunately, nobody ever talked about such things. So I went to a rock concert in the States with the group band from the 70s called Sly and the Family Stone. Sly had a notorious habit of getting ripped and being late to concerts. Well, at this particular concert, I was with a bunch of my friends. I was 15 years old, and suddenly I felt very, very sick. And so what I did is I got up and walked toward an ambulance that was on the grounds and asked if I could lay down. Was told yes. I promptly fell asleep and slept through the whole concert. When I got home, I found out that at the time I had crawled into this ambulance, my mother was being put in an ambulance and was taken to the hospital. That's called an empathetic departing vision, where we can be in a different location from our loved one and begin to experience symptoms of their illness. They're preparing for transition. Some people will, I've got lots of accounts of individuals who have shared that they have been across the country or in another part of the world, and they began having chest pains, and then they discover that a loved one in a different part of the country or the world has just passed from a heart attack. Well, of course, I didn't know who to talk to. And then when she did finally prepare to transition, I was awakened at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I knew that she was moving on. And I had just turned 16. So I got up out of bed, went downstairs and waited for the phone to ring. And yes, it rang in about 10 minutes, and I was informed that she had crossed. Now, here's the part that you guys don't know about. Okay. I have been in touch with relatives that I haven't talked to in 9 billion years. And I have had contact from 2 relatives and 2 friends who have listened to some of my radio programming stuff. And they have contacted me and said, "Oh my goodness, we never told you this, but we awoke, all 4 of them awoke at the exact moment of my mother's transition, and they knew that she had moved on." So there were 5 of us who had this group experience. That's called a group departing vision experience. Now, why is it that I didn't talk about this when I was 16 years old? Because we live in a very death-phobic society. So I kind of kept these experiences to myself. I happened to be in the UK, and it was during the time, remember the time when, I know you can't forget this, when the IRA was bombing the tube lines?
Yeah.
Well, there was an alert in London, and I was on my way to present on, I think it was eating disorders or something like that. And I had to get to the other side of London. And so my husband and I were down in the tube, and all of a sudden, there went the announcements, evacuate, evacuate. And so leaving the tube, I found an old bookstore and went in and spent some time in there and found a book written by Sir William Barrett. And he actually categorized departing visions. Back then he coined the term deathbed visions.
Yeah.
He had a wife who was a surgeon, and she worked with women. And she worked with women who birthed babies. And a lot of time during that period in history, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, of course, women didn't survive physically birthing babies. And so she began to hear these accounts from these women about visitations from what she termed deceased relatives, loved ones, angels, who had come to escort the person who was getting ready to move on, who was getting ready to transition to the other side. And she began to hear a lot of these accounts. These women would call out to fathers who were on the other side, mothers who were on the other side. There's a great one about a young woman who called out to her father, saw her father. Nobody else in the room saw her father, who was on the other side and who had come to assist her to the other side.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, she had a sister who passed while she was so sick, and no one had told her about this, had said a word to her about this sister who had passed. But what she said was, after recognizing her father, she said, "Oh, my sister is here," and she called her sister by name.
Yeah.
So even though no one had told her her sister had transitioned, she saw her sister in spirit form. So fast forward, I've collected a few modern day accounts like that, which are very similar. But after reading Barrett's book, I just became, I'm a digger. You give me a little bit of information and I'm going to dig up the rest. I'd make a great private investigator. So I tried to talk to some of my professional therapy peers, and they just, you've really lost it this time. I'm surprised it didn't get me kicked out of graduate school, but I learned real quickly to just zip it. And so I went about my business, and then when I was around 28, I began having some contact from the spirit world. And, of course, wasn't going to talk about that either. So I kind of tucked that all away. But I started to have these, aside from spirit world contact, I would become very emotional when somebody was transitioning. And so what I started to do and what I continue to do today is that if I'm really emotional for no reason, absolutely no reason, I just know that I'm feeling very vulnerable and emotional, I will write it down on a calendar, and more time than not, somebody is transitioning that I care about at that time, and I find out afterward. But that began happening a lot. Then I would have periodic visitation from those on the other side. It was always kind of, it was difficult to be at funerals because I would have this contact and then a conversation would be going on, and then I would have these little bursts of, I'd start chuckling or something, which of course didn't bode well for the other people who were at these funerals. So, in my practice...
So you were always at the back then, was you, Carla?
Huh?
So you were all standing at the back?
In the back?
Yeah, hiding.
Well, I should have been hiding. But that's the problem with our death-phobic society. So, when in my practice, I work peer trauma as a marriage and family therapist. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, with trauma, there's always transition. And with transition, there are oftentimes experiences. In ancient cultures, there was the belief that when a person was beginning to transition, they had one foot in this life and one foot in the spirit world. And most cultures, ancient cultures, and a lot of cultures today, still believe in the continuation of life, that it doesn't end with the change called death. But sadly, in our country, it's real hard to get support. So I started seeing individuals who would come in with an issue of trauma. We would talk about the trauma, and then they would say, I have a job. As you can see, I have all my teeth. I'm not on a bunch of drugs, but let me tell you what happened when Grandma was passing. And then they would give me these accounts of individuals who had been in coma with Alzheimer's. And then suddenly, just before they moved on, they would sit up in bed, hold their hands out, and call out to a deceased loved one on the other side. Or what would happen is that a great account from a nurse who took care of a patient, an elderly man. She would go in and she would put lotion on his arms and she would make him comfortable, and he passed, and this happened while she was at home, and she all of a sudden felt him near her, and he said to her, "Thank you so much for caring for me." Well, what she did is immediately jumped in the car and raced back to the facility and found out that at the exact moment she received this message, he was getting ready to cross over. So in collecting some of these, I decided that I needed to be brave. I needed to quit hiding. I needed to at least begin to talk about some of this stuff. Because also during all of this time, my young son of 3 years of age had also had an experience where he was visited by a spirit guide named Damas. And my son, being 3 years old, he started talking about Damas all of the time. Damas is in the car. Damas is with us at dinner. Damas is Damas. He even described Damas, and he became very upset because I couldn't see Damas. And when I asked a rabbi friend if he had ever heard this term, he wrote it down first in Hebrew, and then he wrote it in Aramaic, and he said, "Oh, that's the angel of death." The angel of death in the Jewish religion that's a person who comes and comforts, well, not a person, but a guide who comes and comforts and escorts those who are dying to the other side. And then he looked at me and he said, "How would Josh know about that? He's only 3. That's something scholars study." So after that experience, I went, okay, get brave. So I did. I published my first book out of 3 on the topic called One Last Hug Before We Go. And in response to that, I received accounts from around the world. I received accounts from South Africa, China, Italy, Israel, you name it, they came. This was before really great internet with Google Translate. So in some cases, I really had to get creative in finding folks who could speak some of the languages that these accounts were written in. So after doing that and collecting a larger group of individuals who had these experiences and being cornered at cocktail parties, not being able to go places where people knew what it was I did without them saying, hey, do you have a moment? And it was always as you see, I've got all my teeth, I'm not on a bunch of drugs, I'm raising my family. It's like they had to qualify themselves.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. The Viscount's asking, Angel of Death, can you elaborate a tad more on this?
Well, what I have discovered is that there are some philosophies and religions that see this guide as a frightening entity. Mm-hmm. Within the Jewish religion, it's a much discussed topic. Most people don't talk in terms of the name Damas because it's such an archaic term, but it's not a scary experience. It's an assistance for takeaway to the other side. I do know that our society takes certain things and twists them. And I think that has a lot to do with certain religions in our society. And so something that is benevolent and something that is comforting is turned into something that is evil. And then I think that perception is imprinted upon society. And so I think that tag, Angel of Death, has been misconstrued, and I also think that it has been placed in a category with other concepts that are pretty frightening for a lot of folks in our society. So every once in a while we'll get accounts of they're called, I had a friend named Dr. Barbara Romer, and she and I went to a workshop with Raymond Moody years ago. And she was just a delight. She actually read a paper for me at a conference when I was sick. And she carried around a great big purse, and she was a little short Jewish woman. And she investigated hellish departing visions, hellish near-death experiences, and what she discovered was that initially, for some people, they are frightening. These experiences are frightening. Mm. And typically it has to do with people who never have really explored spirituality or never really have walked a spiritual path. And so they're confronted with some of this stuff. It's new and different. It scares them.
Well, this is one thing I wanted to ask you. It comes in a bit from what the Viscount asked earlier. How does it work? What feelings have been reported to you by people who have who you have spoken to? And the Viscount wants to know: are these empathic things similar to sympathy pains that people get for their partners and friends, etc.?
Well, yes, there you go. Okay, you're talking about the continuation of life. Why should it be any different?
Yeah.
Just because somebody is transitioning. It's like my husband who suddenly became, nauseous when I was pregnant. It's very similar. Your call or your chatter is right on target. So, yes, that's a really good point. But for departing vision experiencers, the majority of them, and that's probably 98%, have positive experiences. I'll share one account that will really make a lot of sense, and that's in my second book called. I can't even remember what my second book on departing visions is called. It's really sad.
Oh, dear.
My mother-in-law survived the Holocaust, and I may have shared this last time I talked with you. But she was pretty much an atheist. She had survivor's guilt. She had never recovered from the Holocaust. And so when it was time for her to cross, of course, we were all with her. She had lived a very long life. But she was frightened of death. She would not read my first book on departing visions because she told me she didn't feel she was spiritual enough. So when it did come time for her to pass, we told her, shared with her, I talked to her about departing visions. The rabbi came by and said, look, you can move on, Elizabeth. It's perfectly safe. It's okay.
Yeah.
So she fought it. She really fought it. And then my father-in-law came through, and she started calling out to him in Polish, which is typical when people have a first tongue, whether it's German, French, Polish, Russian. As it's time for transition, they revert to the tongue of their youth. So we had to call in my husband's aunt in order to translate Polish because we don't speak Polish. So my father-in-law came through and she argued with him. Oh my goodness, she argued with him for a day. She wasn't going to go. She said, no, I'm not going. I'm not ready. No, no, no. And we were just exasperated.
Yeah.
Well, finally her mother, who died in the gas chambers in Auschwitz, came through. And the tears started rolling, and she became very soft. And there was a healing that took place.
Yeah.
And then she moved on, gently moved on. So you have individuals who, for the most part, when they receive a visitation, some of them will be confused at first. They won't know, why is that man here, or why is that woman sitting in the chair over there? And then they will begin to have a conversation with these unseen visitors, and then they will discover that this individual is here to take them to the other side.
Yeah.
Then you have the majority of individuals who are greeted by deceased relatives and loved ones. And this is consistent around the world. What I'm telling you is not just in the States, not just in the UK, it's consistent around the world. And there's research to back it up. What they will do is they will begin to, if they were having difficulty as a patient, they were concerned or upset about movement to the other side, then what happens is they calm down. Some of them will even report what it looks like on the other side. So and this happens for atheists too. So
Yeah.
not just the religious, but also for atheists. So it's very important for the family at the bedside to not freak out.
Damn.
Which is something they will do. I was sitting with a woman who was from Germany. She had escaped the Russians during World War II. As they invaded the country, she had a lot of old wounds. She became an atheist, refused to have anything to do with spirituality. As her passing drew near, she began talking to folks on the other side, and nobody spoke German. Her husband had a little bit of past experience with the language, and so what I said to him is, you need to start talking to her in German. And he did, and she calmed down, and she began sharing with him who was visiting, and she began even sharing with him a bit of a life review that she was having about examining her life, about what she had learned and what she had done on this side. So,
Okay.
Okay,
Well, what we're going to do is, Carla, we're going to have a quick break. okay, give you time to have a bit of a drink, and then we'll come straight back to you, and we'll be talking to Carla Wills-Brandon. So we'll see you after these words.
The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store is a one-stop shop for all of your ghost hunting gadgetry needs. Run by ghost hunters for ghost hunters, the shop is filled with all of the latest in investigation equipment, shipped in from all around the world, from high-quality digital dictaphones to EMF pumps, infrared illuminators to laser grid pens, CCTV equipment to data loggers. All of our equipment has already been imported, so you can buy it safe in the knowledge that there will be no hidden costs. And with our postage promise, you'll never pay more than the actual postage price. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.
Yeah, that was the words from one of our supporters, and we're here tonight talking to Carla Wills-Brandon on the deathbed or departing visions of the dying. Carla, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So, Steve's got some questions for you.
Well,
Sure.
You kind of just answered my first one.
All right, okay.
Because I was going to ask, does your belief or lack of it alter what people see and hear? Or do they just accept it?
What do people see when they have a departing vision?
No, I'm saying, does their belief alter what they see and hear?
Do they try and, because of what they believe in, does it alter what they see and hear?
I mean, basically, for instance, would a Catholic see something different to a Protestant kind of thing?
Here's the deal about that. There are some instances where some people will see a white light being, and they will call that white light being Jesus. For the most part, usually when they see a white light being, the term they give is angel or a religious figure. Now, in Sir William Barrett's work, he never, in documenting the accounts of children would talk about angels, but none of the angels had wings. I have had very, very, very few accounts of individuals talking about angels where wings were described. So I believe that, and this is just a personal thing, I believe that if we are not greeted by our relatives immediately, what happens is that we have guides who will meet us. And as Elizabeth Kubler-Ross said, we can, in my business it's called theme interference. It would be a situation where, okay, say I have a client who comes in, and the client has history similar to mine, my childhood history. And what happens for me is I lose my objectivity. And so what I have is theme interference. And so I put upon my client my history as opposed to being objective. That's the best I can do in response to this question. I think that I agree with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross that there are at times individuals who will have a departing vision, and they will have an expectation of seeing Jesus or a religious figure, and they will have a light being experience, and they will place that connotation upon that figure. So have I received a lot of descriptions of departing visions where there is Jesus? No, not really. Like I said, for most of the time, visitations involve deceased relatives or friends. But I think it's a very interesting question, because what you bring up discussion about, okay, so who really are these religious figures? Well, these religious figures had an earth life. So it goes without saying that they had a profound impact on earth life, on spirituality of many nations and many cultures. So it would only make sense that they would be in the afterlife, and that this is a continuum, and that if this is the entity that this individual needs in order to feel comfortable when crossing over, well, that's the way it's going to work. Now, there are cases also where there's one great case where this woman, she was getting ready to move on, and she was really angry that her husband had shown up to take her to the other side. She was expecting her son, and her words were, "What the heck is he doing here? I didn't want him to show up."
I don't know.
So, since we are living in a finite physical body, and we don't yet have a brain that can encompass more than we're doing at this time, I think that some of those questions are difficult to answer. But what we have to look at is we always have to remember that there is consciousness, and consciousness doesn't die just because the physical body dies. The consciousness remains, and that oftentimes what will happen is that there will be those individuals. I saw all of my family members in orb form when I was at Raymond Moody's house. It was an incredible experience of love. I felt very cared for. I was reassured that they were there. And so that was comforting for me. Some people, and that wasn't even a departing vision, that was what was called an after-death communication.
Right.
So they kind of go for whatever's comforting to them.
Well, it depends. It seems to be that for some folks, lessons and healing still need to happen. You're asking me about the angel of death and how that's frightening. You know, that can be frightening for some people. And so the question has to be, okay, so what spiritual lesson was there with that sort of guide coming through, if you want to simplify it a little bit. But like I said, 98% of the time, it's a loving experience. It's a comforting experience. It's sometimes you can have situations where both the individual getting ready to pass and those at the bedside will see something. One account involved an individual who was sitting next to a parent who was getting ready to move on, and in the doorway they saw a light being, and then once the light being disappeared, the one who was ready to move on had crossed. The individual who was sitting by the bedside got up, went outside the door, was looking around, asking people if they had seen anything, questioning their sanity, and then contacting Carla Wills-Brandon for a reality check.
Oh dear. Next question.
A lot of people that seem to see and hear the actual dying person beforehand. Are we talking about two different phenomena here? Maybe telepathy and out-of-body experience?
Well, I know for a fact that when a person is getting ready to cross and they are visited by a guide or a loved one or a dear friend, that the conversation is telepathic. But oftentimes what will happen is that the person who is in the physical will speak out loud. So that is something that occurs with near-death experiences. The report will be that conversation was telepathic. That happens also in afterlife, after-death communications. That also happens with dreams, when we have dreams about a crossing or dreams about a person who's on the other side. The conversation at times will be telepathic. I've had a couple of those where someone who I care about who has crossed has come back for a visit, either with a message or to tell me to get my act together, and the conversation has been telepathic. So I would say that happens often. That's been documented. It's
Yeah,
been
because
documented.
our brother-in-law actually saw a friend of his on the bus at the same time he was actually dying.
That's a great account. Yes, that does happen where um, somebody is getting ready to cross and they are visited by the one who's getting ready to move on. So that's a great account. Man, I might steal that. There was a guy who was at home. He and his wife were in bed. And all of a sudden he woke up and he saw his grandmother at the foot of the bed. And she was ready for travel. And she told him she was going on the trip, and she blew him a kiss and told him that she loved him. And then shortly after that, the phone rang, and he was informed that she had passed over. So those are some of my favorite accounts where there's a visual experience. There were these doctors in Sweden, and this is in my latest book. What is the title of my latest? Heavenly Hugs. There you go. Well, this group in Sweden, and these doctors were fairly atheist in their thinking. They were trying to save a man who had been brought in who was on the verge of physical death. And then suddenly a blue orb of light shot out of the center of his body, and the entire surgical team saw this. And the blue light, stayed stationary for a bit, and then it took off, and the guy passed. And so when these physicians and nurses were interviewed, all of them were having a very hard time, with the majority of them being atheists, trying to sort this out. So the physical experiences, when it's with someone who has an understanding of this, it can be very comforting. It's a comforting experience. It can be a little nerve-wracking initially, but then it is comforting after the fact. For individuals who don't have much of a spiritual path, who are pretty invested in not looking at any of this, it really turns their world upside down.
Yeah. Wasn't it?
Yes.
You telling me that your nan, she said she saw Ian a couple of days before
Yeah, I
she
mean,
died.
a couple of days before, me nan saw her son Ian,
Who had already passed.
who had already passed.
And it was like 2 days before she went.
Yeah, she was in a home at the time, and she said that her son Ian had come to visit her. And yet he had died at least 12 months beforehand.
See, that's a classic departing vision right there. And so for your nan, it probably was a comforting experience. And what that did for her is that put her at ease. Now, hopefully, the staff that was with her, when they heard this, they validated her experiences, or they said, that's really great, or...
Unfortunately, they didn't. She'd gone to bed one night because they were doing a Christmas party the next day in the home, and she went up to bed early to get everything ready for the morning, and they walked up to the dormitory sort of thing, the bedrooms, just to check on a few things, and saw her door open, and she'd collapsed on the floor from an aneurysm. So I don't think they really acknowledged it.
Yeah, I'm not even sure whether they knew or not.
I don't think they knew.
Yeah, going back to the story with your blue light, I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think blue light is actually healing.
Is that right, Carla?
I think that's a healing light. So,
well,
so it could be that this person was actually being healed as he went.
That could be. That's a possibility. There's another account. It's a historical account, and it involves a very famous Hasidic rabbi. And his students were standing around him, and he was giving them some last words of wisdom. And then just as he began to cross, a blue light escaped from his chest area. So people have also reported accounts of seeing a mist leave the body, some sort of mist.
Yeah.
A vapor, a light. My husband saw a pastel light leave his father's body. My cousin saw a silver light leave her mother's body. My sister and I saw a silver light enveloping my father-in-law shortly before he passed. So people have been reporting the mist for a long time. And like I said, the mist can be pure white, it can be whitish blue, it can be silver, it can be pastel. I know I have a whole chapter of that in the latest book on seeing that leave the body. And so that's something that also provides a great deal of comfort for the experiencer. It may initially knock them off for a bit, but what happens is that when they look back upon that, there's like this sense of, oh, so that's the reality of who we are. And so that's not destroyed. And so it is a continuum, and we will meet up again. And this is great to use in therapy also, because if someone comes in and they're in grief and they've lost somebody, when we get past I'm working with a young guy right now, and I've begun to give him a little bit of this information. One of his parents just crossed maybe a month ago, and so it doesn't get rid of grief, but what it does is, as you guys know, there's this sense of, okay, so my loved one has moved. Yeah. It's kind of like they've moved. It'd be like, one of my sons moving to some part of the world that I can't get to. Yeah. Contact is hard, and there isn't any Skype, and the phone lines are horrible, and I have to work really hard at it. So there's this awareness that comes in once they have had the experience and processed the experience, or when they have heard about these experiences from me, or I've given them examples of these experiences to review. So I think that the blue light, I don't know anything about the patient who was getting ready to make a transition with the Swedish surgical team. But the Rebbe who did cross, he was a very famous, mystical, honorable individual. So you might have a point there.
We have another question for you in the chat room. The Viscount would like to ask, you may have already answered this question, but there is a bit extra to it. Is it only certain people that see these lights, for example, spiritualists, mediums? Can normal people experience these lights? And if they can, why is it not widely reported?
I do believe that there are some people who are more, it's kind of like having brown eyes and blue eyes. There are some people who are more equipped to make that contact with the spirit world. Personally, I think that with a departing vision, this can happen to anybody. Some of the folks who have come in looking a little like little topsy-turvy, who have never really had an experience like this, who are just regular Joes who go to work and take care of their families and have a beer every once in a while. When they show up and they've had one of these experiences, they question their sanity because they haven't had exposure. And this may be their one and only encounter. So same thing with an after death communication or a near-death experience. So that's what's so amazing about these encounters, is that they occur with everyday people.
Yeah.
So I get folks who come in and, like I said, they're atheists and they're angry at God and they're angry at religious institutions, and then they have an experience like this, and I have to send them off to quantum physics in order to get them going, because they don't want to be seen as religious. They don't. They begin to look toward, am I insane and do I need medication? Because spirituality has just not been a part of their existence. So I don't know if that answers the question or not, but that's been my experience. And that's been the research, too. The research from Ireland, the UK, Holland, even the VA in California. That's been the experience. It doesn't matter if a person is on medication, if they're getting ready to transition, they can still have these experiences. This isn't a byproduct of a dying brain. For the people who are at the bedside or across the country who have a departing vision, they don't have to be a medium. They don't have to be a spiritualist. They don't have to have been dabbling in the New Age. So these sorts of experiences are very inclusive.
Okay. As you've heard a lot of these stories, but where do you think we go when we cross over?
Well, we take ourselves to the other side. So, I always love it when people come into my office and they think that everything, and I work, like I said, I work with trauma, and I've worked with people who have committed murders. I've worked with people who have committed heinous crimes. And then, of course, people who have experienced trauma and they have a lot of feelings about that trauma, whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, Holocaust survivors, children of Holocaust survivors, children of Gulag survivors in Russia during the Cold War. So folks will come in and they may have a problem. They have a child who's acting out all of their emotions for them because that's what kids do. Or they come in and they have a physical stress-related disorder, and we'll get to looking at some of the traumatic issues. And what I will think to myself is, man, you got to work through this because you're going to take it to the other side if you don't.
Yeah.
So,
But what is the other side?
What do you think the other side is, and where is it?
Well, quantum physics has shown us that we are interdimensional, and so do I know exactly where it is? No. That's left up to the quantum physics. Do I believe that we do go to meet those that we care about who have gone before us on the other side? Do we go meet with them? Yes. Do I believe that we each have a band of guides who have been working with us in this earth life to help us learn what it is we need to learn here? Yes. Do we meet with them? Yes. Do we go to a place, a dimension where we are with like-minded friends, loved ones, and family? Yes. Do we continue to spiritually evolve? Yes. We do not go and take a vacation.
No.
We don't go and we don't sit on a cloud with a heart. No. We take ourselves to the other side. Changes occur because we're not in the material, so we have to learn how to deal with that. Communication is telepathic. The way things operate are a bit different. We have to adjust to that, but the journey continues, and so we continue to evolve, and we can spiritually unfold. So that's what I think. Now, I'm not real quick to share that with my clients that I work with.
No.
It's my job to provide them with the tools so that they can discover what it is they need for their spiritual journey. If it is appropriate for me to share a part of my journey, I will share a bit of it. But otherwise, my job is just to provide the tools.
So while we're on this side, the other side is basically down to personal belief.
Well, I think it's more about what we have accomplished on this side. If we are, I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict. I've been sober for 30 years. Because I have been sober for such a long time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've had an opportunity to do a lot of healing work.
Yeah.
If I had continued to use, chances are I'd be stuck in one reality in this life. what would happen when I crossed would be that I would be in a comparable reality until I was ready to heal and grow. And I believe we move up the chain. That the chain of command. It's not about right or wrong. It's all about healing. It's about. I have folks who come in who have horrible history in their background. I had a client, two clients, a couple of years ago in the month of August, overdose. And it was heartbreaking. I mean, they had the choice. They had the choice to get sober, and they chose not to. Yeah. Because they believed it was too hard to do the healing work. And so I received contact from one of them a couple of times. And so she is in a space right now where she's discovered she's got to get, the suicide didn't work. She's got to still heal from trauma and the things that she experienced that set up her addiction. So I'm not a big believer in hell. I do think that there are people who get trapped in their own dilemma. Yeah. And as there are people here who get trapped in their own dilemma. And so they live in misery. And so spiritually, when they cross, this continues, but the opportunity for healing is always there.
Okay.
Nice way of putting it.
It is nice. Do you think there's a kind of cord, for the want of a better word, that connects us all to the other side?
I don't know. I'm real confused about that. I've never seen the cord. I know some people talk about the cord. And that there are some philosophies that really talk about the cord. I know that Sir William Barrett talked about the cord, and other early investigators talked about the cord. But like I said, I've never seen that. What I have seen is I have seen spirit light. So there never has been a cord. But if somebody has seen that, that would be something modern day to investigate. Like I said, there's a lot of historical information about that, but I've never really heard a modern day account. Have you guys?
You still there?
Yeah, still there. Okay.
Can we hear you, Carla?
No, have you guys heard of a modern day account where there has been the cord?
No, I mean we've been. One of our team lost her husband, and the only thing that was connected to cause was actually to her husband, where another medium had told her that she had to, when she was ready, cut those cords to let him go on.
Okay.
As part of her grieving.
Yeah, some people would seem to think that maybe that's the cord. That's the call that people have between the living and the dead sort of thing.
It's more. I think it's
holding on.
I think it's more between people than the actual other side, so to speak.
Well, here's what I think. I think that there are some individuals that when they cross over, they are in such a distressed situation because of unresolved trauma or history that they kind of go into hibernation or they go into a healing, and so there isn't any connection. So we can still have a strong attachment to an individual like that, but they may not come to us or come through with a medium. Then there are those individuals who pop up right away. There they are. And it's almost like their job is to stick around because they want to be around their family member or their loved one. I have a friend whose son was murdered a couple of years ago, and he kept hanging around. And I was in a mediumship circle, and the medium that was with us was telling her that she needed to let him go, that she was holding him back. Now, he was leaving her, his mother, white feathers everywhere. So what that told me and a couple of the other gals was that he felt like he needed to be there. And so he stayed around for a bit. And he comes back and visits often now. So I have concerns when mediums tell someone that they need to let go or cut the cord. Life on the other side it's infinity. It's continuous. There is no sense of time. So for a lot of individuals, they need to hang on, as the medium said. What I like to say is keep the contact going for as long as necessary. Because I believe that can be healing for both sides. Because when we cross over, we will have some feelings about those that we leave behind. We will have work to do. We will have a continuation of life in spirit world, but there will still be concern for those that we leave behind. So, how long had this woman's husband been had transitioned? How long had that been?
I think about 7 years.
It is now, yeah.
Yeah, it's about 7 years now.
Yeah, so it would have been
2008, 2000, yeah, about 2008, I think.
Yeah, it's about 2008, and it would have been about 2 years ago he told her this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's the deal. It takes at least 7 years to begin healing from the loss of a partner or a child. Someone that special. We just can't hurry that. I have people who show up in my office who they've lost somebody 20 years ago, and the grief is fresh. And it's fresh because they haven't had an opportunity to learn how to process that. And the processing involves a lot of work. Once they begin to do the processing, they have the true grief, shared grief, and they have the anger, because there's always anger with grief, but most folks deny that. Then what happens is that they become lighter, and then they do become more willing to let go, the term that you use. And in therapy, what's important to do, I use a lot of visualization with clients like that, where the spirit of the loved one will come in. Now, of course, I'm not going to share that with them, but the spirit of the loved one will come in, and they will provide information that I can use with the client. Or if they don't come in, the visualization alone does the job. And so the point being that it's my job to set up direct contact with the one who has crossed over.
Yeah.
And get them into the habit of talking. Just, when you're upset, talk out loud, write letters, rage and scream at them because they're not here, do appropriate anger work.
Yeah.
And then be sure to share that with safe people.
We got somebody. Oh, go on.
Have you got bells at your end?
Bells?
I keep hearing bells.
Have you got bells ringing?
Like cats and stuff.
I have lots of cats, and I have a computer that dings a bell every time.
Oh, right. It sounded like a cat bell, actually.
Oh, a cat bell?
Yeah. Well, anyway, we got Ace Paradox in the chat room. Now, as we know, because we know him, he said, as you might remember, I used modulated ultraviolet and blue light to try to capture photographs of ghosts or spirits, the pictures on my website. One of the images I captured at the Old King's Head pub shows what could be described as mist. This was a paranormal evening, not as a person was passing the image. It is potentially of a historic spirit. I will rethink about the event and the photograph, but would Carla like to see the photo, and does Carla have any thoughts about this? Basically, about the photograph, but actually photographing this sort of light and stuff.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I do. I caught some great spirit activity with photograph in an old house that we were using as an office. It was a little over 100 years old. We would be sitting in our offices upstairs, and we would hear children running up and down the stairs. I had there was a spirit there who was very angry. He scared one of my clients, a big, tall Dutch guy who was up in my office and waiting for me to come up there. And instead, he came running down the stairs because he said that this spirit had manifested in front of him. So I took a lot of pictures, and I did capture something. And then also in Jamaica, there's a place called Rose Hall, and there was a woman who owned Rose Hall, and she murdered like a lot of people, including husbands. And so I took a lot of photos around there. And if I have a sense that there's some sort of activity going on, I will take a picture. But yeah, I'm always interested in that. My experience I was in a building that it was an AIDS coalition building, but it was also a very historical building from the late 1800s. And I was sitting there listening to whatever was being said, and all of a sudden I saw a silver gray mist cross the room. So was that historical? Was that one of the AIDS victims who crossed? I don't know. But then in this house that I live in now, which is also over 100 years, the smell of roses was very, very strong when I first moved in here. And so about, I guess, maybe 5 years ago, the son-in-law of the woman who lived here knocked on my door, a 90-year-old man, and he announced to me that he was the son-in-law of the daughter of the couple who had built this house and lived here, and he wondered if he could come in. And so he came in and he told us who had lived in what room. And then I said to him, what about roses? Did your mother-in-law, did she like roses? And what he said was, oh yes, she put dried roses everywhere. So I think that we can capture spirit on tape. We can capture spirit on a photograph. I have an old editor friend who received a phone call from her mother shortly after she crossed over. We can have the sensation of smell. There are all sorts of ways spirit can mess around with our electronics. There are all sorts of ways that spirit can get in touch with us. And I love the photographs because the photographs you can get, as your chatter knows, you can get full manifestations, which are incredible. You can get orbs. I love receiving pictures of orbs and then blowing them up to see what's inside of them. Yeah. To see what they look like.
So you'll be happy for Paul to send you his picture that he would like you to look at?
That'd be great.
Yeah, they are on his website, so we're just trying to get Paul's link and we'll pass it on to you. The Viscount has asked, how do you know it takes 7 years? Why not 1 or 2?
To heal, that is.
To heal.
Because that 1 or 2 years, what happens after 1 or 2 years, the first 6 months, a person is definitely in a fog, and they're dealing with the will, and they're dealing with the mechanics of a passing. The funeral has happened. Oftentimes, individuals have to figure out how they're going to survive on one income. Medical concerns. It's the mechanics of physical death and a crossing. About 1 year, what happens is that they're kind of just in a fog. They have feelings and emotions which come up. A lot of individuals will repress these emotions. So it's kind of a vacillation of emotions. And they don't really know what to do with them unless they find a therapist or a grief support group that can help them process. If someone doesn't know how to process their emotions, what happens is that they have this longing, this grief, this sensation of loss that's intense, And it can go on and on. 7 years is just a number, that's an average that I threw out there. Like I said, I've had individuals come in who, like my mother-in-law, she hadn't seen her mother in decades, the one who passed in Auschwitz. Her grief was always right there. She she didn't process it. I have an aunt who was in Auschwitz, who survived Auschwitz. She began processing her grief at the age of 83. So that's why I put that number out there. If somebody is willing to do the work, willing to reach out for help, willing to learn how to feel the feelings. Unfortunately, what you will have individuals who they will have lost somebody.
Yeah.
They will go to 9,000 mediums in order to make contact, in order to have some sort of resolution. And then they're not satisfied with the message.
Yeah.
They want something else, or somebody else comes through and it's not who they wanted to talk to. That happens a lot. So what happens for them, or what can happen, is that somebody will have an after-death communication where, let's say, the person who has crossed comes to them with a message for their partner. That's also very common. And so the individual on this side will share the message with the partner, and it's still not enough.
Right.
So it's all about processing emotions, and that's part of the trauma and part of the baggage that we will carry.
Right. Well, I've got a couple of more questions. Steve's got one more in a moment, but just to read Dave Lloyd's in the chat room. What do you feel about reincarnation? There was a case of a lady who had knowledge of a previous life in Ireland. She went back to the place she remembered. She had a few siblings. She found the house and two of her sons. She proved to them that she was their mother, with info only they would know. What's your feelings on this?
Well, yes, that's a very famous case. When I was in London years ago, I had this incredibly strong desire to find that round Knights of Templar building, the church. And I drove my family nuts. It was like, okay, we're going to just ruin this vacation. I have to find this place. And I didn't know why I was feeling like that. And when I walked into the church and saw the sarcophagus of the of Knights of Templar in the ground, I burst into tears. And all of a sudden I had this knowing of being either the spouse or partner of somebody who was a Knights of Templar who had crossed. I have a friend, and he is really something, and your chatters really need to look him up. He is the godfather of departing visions. His name is Erlinger Haraldsson, and he is a psychologist in Iceland. He worked with Carlos Osis. Carlos Osis has made the journey to the other side. They did longitudinal studies on departing visions, looking at departing visions in hospitals in the States and in the States and I think it's India. And what they discovered was that these experiences were consistent, but they were the first modern investigators. Well, anyway, Erlinger went into investigating reincarnation. So he recently made a trip with one of my publishers in England, White Crow Publishing. They have a great bunch of books. The two of them made the trek over to India. And Erlinger's desire was to go investigate cases of reincarnation. And I know that he continues to do that today. So there's a lot of data supporting it. I don't think it's something that we should brush off. I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, an expert in that area. But when a lot of people are talking about it, I believe it's something we really need to take a look at.
Right.
The temple you went to see the Templars in London, did you know that there's no actual graves there? And the Viscount said, could it just have been emotional content that you experienced while you were there?
Well, I would tend to agree with that, except for suddenly I had an image of a spouse or partner grieving a Knights Templar. So I think that there's a possibility that might be related to me.
Right.
That's my sensation. So
Right, yeah. Okay.
I don't think you have to be near a grave in order to have an experience like that. All I knew is that I needed to get to that location. There was a strong desire to go to that location. And once I got there and had the experience and processed it, it became very clear to me why there was a panic to get there.
Right. Okay.
Yes,
Steve, you got one last question?
Yes. From everything that you've discovered and checked out, what have you learned from all this, and what do you still want to learn?
Well, I think there's a lot to learn. What I have learned is that I am responsible. I am responsible for every aspect of my being, and that if I don't take responsibility, I have Crohn's disease. And Crohn's disease is one of those horrible diseases that there's no cure for.
Right.
And I have to be responsible for that disease. I can't just be a victim. Now, sometimes I want to feel like one, but after I have a good cry, if I've had it flare up, I need to get off my butt and go do something to take care of it, to get it back into remission. Same thing for the alcoholism. I had to be responsible. It didn't matter that I had a very rough, difficult childhood. That didn't matter. I needed to take responsibility, get sober, and then heal from the childhood issues. So I've learned that I am here for a reason, that I have a purpose and I have a mission, and that I need to keep my side of the street clean so that I can be here to do what it is I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
I've also learned that this deal is a continuation, and then it goes on. It's infinity. There is no end to this.
No.
And that my job is to learn and to grow. I'm doing this with a soul group. I think that there are others in my life here and now that have been with me for eternity, and that we made a decision that we were going to be a soul group, and we come back and we learn. I believe that we have so much to learn about all of this.
Yeah. Well, as Andy 707 said, I agree with him. He said, good grief, you've really been through the mill.
It was my journey.
That's your journey.
Yeah, well,
but just
hope
one more
everything
thing.
Stays in remission for you.
Yeah, I do. Hope things stay.
Thank you.
Okay, just one more question. You say you've got a lot of cats, yeah? And one thing that was mentioned earlier on the chat room, they say that that cats have one foot in this world and another foot in the next. What's your feelings about that?
Well, I think our cats in this life have cat consciousness. They have their journey too.
Yes.
And so anybody who says that they don't, well, just bring it on, and we'll have a duel or something. But yes, being around this island is full of paranormal activity because of a storm that took place in the 1900s, where 9,000 people perished. So we are used to living with this sort of thing. But every once in a while, one of my animals will sit straight up, look in a certain direction, and start meowing or become very uncomfortable. I know my dog does that too. We inherited a cat from a woman who had passed. I think in spirit she sent this cat our way. And when the cat made the transition, I had to put the cat down myself. That was very hard. I used herbs. There were no vets available.
Yeah.
my husband saw a light leave as the cat made the crossing. So I think that cats are very sensitive. I have currently 4 of them, along with the 1 dog, 2 birds, 1 turtle, and a fish. So, yes, I do agree with that.
Right.
I did a full chapter on experiences with animals in the 2nd book.
Right. It just sparked a question for
Yes,
Steve to ask.
I just remembered something. I was listening to one of your other interviews, and I remembered you saying that your husband wasn't a believer in this until he had an experience himself. I wonder what that experience was, if it's not too personal, that is.
No, not anymore. He now goes to Lilydale, New York with me every summer, which is home to the American spiritualism movement. And we were just there last month. He was very meat and potatoes, son of Holocaust survivors. When you die, you become worm food.
Yeah.
When I first got into expressing this stuff openly, he would say, "Don't ever use my name. Don't ever talk about me." Then he had the first experience where he saw the spirit of his father leaving the body. And even then, he let me write it in the 2nd book, Spiritually Transformative Experiences. But then with the 2nd experiences, his near-death experience, he was on board 100%. He announced to me that he knew how he would transition, that it would be with an accident, that it would be quick, that there would be no suffering. He had, while on the other side, he spent a lot of time looking for people he knew. But his experience was fairly quick. He did come back knowing that this wasn't it.
Yeah.
So now he's very open about it.
Okay. Well, it's been great talking to you again, Carla. We've always loved having you on the show. And hopefully in a year or so's time, we'll get you back again. So, and find out what other research you've been up to.
Well, thanks, you guys. I always love talking to you across the pond.
Feelings mutual, Carla. Feelings mutual. You take care of yourself, okay? And we send you all our love and best wishes.
Much love to you guys, too, and thanks for having me.
Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye, Carla.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Well, that was Carla Wills-Brandon. I did put the link up earlier for her website, but I will do it again when I find it again.
Don't forget to send. Did you send Carla the?
I'm going to do it over Facebook. I'll send it to her via. No, I did it over Skype. I did send it there, so I'll just
check.
Just check. I'm sure I did say it. I wasn't sure, but bear with me.
So she can have a look at.
Right. So anyway, I should have mentioned it then. Right. Okay. I will put a boss name back on the thing for you. So if you want to have a look and see what our website's all about, so just bear with me while I get the link. I'm glad I hope you've enjoyed that that conversation.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to are coming back and saying they have.
Yeah,
which is great.
It's really good to get things different, different perspectives on this sort of subject. You know what I mean? Because whatever way it is, we're talking about spirit, aren't we?
We are. I mean, we're talking about spirit, energy, however you want to call it. It's a part of us.
Well, this is it. So, But anyway, what we're going to do now, we're going to... I've just told her that the link above for the pic. So I've left that way. She's scribbling away. What we're going to do is... I'll tell you what she says afterwards. But as I say... if she says anything. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with do the paranormal events, and we'll see you after this.
We've got all the news right here. Don't go away.
Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Okay, well, first up we have them ghost walks that are happening in and around the UK. First one we've got is Blackpool Ghost Walks, which is started now and going through right until the 26th of October. Sorry, join haunted Blackpool author and founder of supernatural events Stephen Mercer on a Blackpool Ghost Walk this summer, and you will be taken to some of the Blackpool's most famous and, of course, most haunted locations, where you will hear tales of unearthly events to make you question everything you thought you believed in. The stroll begins at 7:30 p.m. On the front of the North Pier, next to the ice cream candy floss store beneath the LED advertising screen, and you can find full details about this and the prices at www.blackpoolghostwalks.co.uk. Further south now, we're going to the Medway towns. Neil Arnold is conducting ghost walks in and around the Bluebell Hill area. For a number of years, there have been rumours that a ghostly bride-to-be haunts the dark roads around the village. Local legend states the woman, a victim of a car crash, is in the 60s, can be seen on certain nights of the year hitching a lift from passing motorists, but this is not the case. The facts about Bluebell Hill's high level of strangeness are far weirder than any local story or newspaper article. There is more to Bluebell Hill that meets the eye. With sightings of several different ghosts, mysterious stones, and reports of prowling big cats, this tour will have you reaching for your torch. The walk begins outside the Lower Bell public house on the Chatham Road. Suitable footwear, clothing, and a torch is advised, as some parts of the route can be muddy and pitch black. There is no wheelchair access. The second of Neil's walks is from his book Haunted Rochester. On the last Sunday of each month at 7:30 till 9:30, if you meet outside the Medway Little Theatre opposite Rochester Railway Station, and you'll finish off at one of the Kent's oldest pubs. Those wishing to book these walks are, if you have a group of 5 or more and would like to organise a private ghost walk of Haunted Rochester, then get in touch either by emailing neil.arnold@live.com or phone 07851 602 853 to book any of them walks for Bluebell Hill or Rochester. Right, even further south now, we're going to the ghost walks of the Lanes. The Lanes in Brighton's most celebrated quarter, yet beneath its convivial veneer, darkest forces are at work. Join actor and master storyteller Rob Marks as the eccentric Silas the Ghost Walker, or his fellow ghost walkers Jasper and Ebenezer, for a 70-minute walk around Brighton's famous lanes, visiting 8 haunted sites. For more information on prices, etc., visit www.ghostwalksbrighton.co.uk. Now, at the moment, started yesterday to the 9th of August, the AFC Week, the Spirit of Summer, is at the Arthur Findlay College, Stansted Hall, offering a week-long annual summer seminar of mediumship, spirituality and fun. Are you ready to let yourself go? For information on bookings and all inquiries, please contact the Arthur Findlay College direct on telephone number 01279 813 636 or visit the venue website at www.arthurfindlaycollege.org and click on the All Courses section. 9th of August, the Haunted House, York. The story of this haunted house started over 700 years ago, situated in one of the oldest parts of York, and its history dates back to the medieval times. There is a talk on a chilling encounter with a presence. Some say that they hear ghostly chatter, while others relate merely feeling a cold touch and a chill that comes from nowhere and dissipates as they turn to see who or what caused it. Don't miss out on this very eerie venue. To book this event, visit www.spooksavers.co.uk. 9th of August, Discover Kane Overnight Ghost Hunt. After the very strange happenings during their last event, Kane, Who Am I? They have discovered to provide. They have decided to provide you with an opportunity to find the characters that roam the dark corridors and rooms of this 114-year-old building. The National Emergency Services Museum was formerly known as the Fire and Police Museum in Sheffield, but after many years of hard work, it became national on the 1st of January 2014. And this is the first time this fabulous, famously haunted building has allowed anyone to run a full night event, so don't miss it. We dare you to not only explore the building with our expert paranormal team, but also to sleep in one of its many haunted rooms overnight. With pie and peas included and light refreshments, find out more from www.emergencymuseum.org.uk and click on the Discover Kane logo. 23rd of August, the Skirrid Inn. As seen on TV's Most Haunted, this location has everything you need for a fascinating paranormal night. It ranks regularly as a must-do location amongst ghost hunters. Glasses were mysteriously sent flying at the Skirrid Mountain Inn when a former landlady attempted to sell the pub. With a history as rich and bloody as this location can get, be prepared for anything and everything. This event includes a 2-course fish and chip supper, and you can book direct at www.personalparanormal.co.uk. 25th of August, Club Zero meeting at the Ladybridge Club, Midway Road, Cheadle, Stockport, SK8 5NZ. You can join Club Zero for another evening of paranormal intrigue where you can review and book investigations. Also, there will be tarot readings by Suzanne Lilly, the occasional guest speaker, and much, much more, including the free door raffle. So join them and immerse yourself in the world of the paranormal. For more details, visit www.clubzeroparanormal.co.uk. 30th of August, the David Livingstone Centre, Blaintie in South Lanarkshire. Lanarkshire Paranormal are returning to this amazing place to raise money for the building. This location was the birthplace of David Livingstone. Now a museum, his spirit is said to still be roaming within the walls. Full of artifacts and creepy mannequins, this active location will definitely be a memorable night. Getting tongue twisted here. To book a ticket to this event, then visit lanarkshireparanormal.co.uk. On the 30th and the 31st of August, Jewelstone Events presents Matlock Bath's Mind, Body and Spirit Weekends at the Grand Pavilion in Matlock Bath. Reiki healing, bamboo massage, mediums, tarot card readings, art and craft, pagan gothic gifts, giftware and jewellery, and lots more, including Suzanne Lilly's intuitive tarot. Free entry, and it's on between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. For more information, or maybe you would like to book a stall with Jules, please contact Jules on 07854 725 846 or email julesstone45@yahoo.co.uk. Now don't forget, if you fancy an evening of mediumship with one of the country's most well-known and respected mediums, then here's what's on offer. You can see Derek Kokora in the 2014 Enlightenment Tour. If you go to www.derekkokora.com, you'll find out where he is appearing near you. You can also see Tony Stockwell live on tour. Over the next few weeks, his shows will be in Edinburgh, where he's also appearing with James Van Praagh at the Arthur Conan Doyle Centre. He's also doing the Breyers Hall Hotel in Latham near Ormskirk, Lancaster, for a 3-day workshop and a mediumship evening with Mr. Van Praagh. You can find out more information on this and other dates if you visit Tony's website at www.tonystockwell.com and click events. And finally, Colin Fry's Voices from Heaven Tour 2014. Join Living TV's psychic medium Colin Fry for an evening of clairvoyance. Colin continues his countrywide tour of the UK. For more information, visit www.colinfry.co.uk. Disclaimer. Please note, Paranormal Events for You support quality events. If at any time a company attracts negative press through their own actions or fail to immediately deal with the situation in favour of the greater mass, i.e. the public, then ParanormalEventsForYou.com reserves the rights to remove any mention of that company from their publication. So check out the one-stop paranormal directory for more investigations and events, available now. ParanormalEventsForYou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. ParanormalEventsForYou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
The UK's first ever annual Paracon, November the 22nd and 23rd. This is guaranteed to excite all levels within the paranormal community. This event will showcase some of the world's best paranormal personalities, covering all paranormal genres, including the ultimate paranormal roundtable. There will be stalls, prizes, a charity auction, as well as a VIP party, plus much, much more. Paracon UK's campaign is to unite to honour. Proceeds from this event will go to support the Wounded Warrior Project and TruePaid. Don't miss out. Visit www.paraconuk.com for details. Again, that's www.paraconuk.com.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was the events that are on paranormaleventsforyou.com. And don't forget, as we said, if you want to advertise on paranormalevents.com, we will be advertising every week the events for the particular month we're in, apart from the fact that I've just advertised and one that's coming up in the next few months.
Yes, that's a charity event as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And as the Viscount said, there's a shed load of events going on in August this month.
Definitely.
And that's just the ones we know about.
Yes, definitely. That's the ones that advertise on Paranormal Events for You. Now, one thing I will say is in the next couple of weeks, we will be doing a show, won't we?
We will.
And at the end of August, and we will be having certain people coming on talking about something that's happened in the paranormal world. Okay? Or rather industry.
Yeah, when the paranormal goes wrong, unfortunately.
Yes. So if I remember rightly, we've also got a representative coming on from the BPA. I've hopefully worked that one out.
Yeah, afterwards.
And but one thing we do want to say is, if anybody's out there listening to this, and because of the show that's coming up at the end of August, if you can, are we?
I'm going to have to.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, if anybody out there can contact the owners of Compass Paranormal, can you please get them to contact us, because we would like to talk to them, please?
Yes, we'd like to talk to them as well.
I mean, we've been trying to be a bit diplomatic, but unfortunately, we're going to have to say, otherwise we just can't get hold of them any other way than you, our listeners, to
pass the message on for them to have the right to have their say.
We don't want a one-sided show. We want them to have their say as well. And
one thing I will say is that the show will not be a slanging match.
No, it will not. There'll be no slanging match. There'll be anybody that starts coming up with profanities and that, they will be instantly cut off.
Yes.
Because that's not what this show's about. It's about trying to let people know what has gone wrong, what has happened,
and hopefully how to.
And hopefully somebody, if we can get hold of them, hopefully how we can get it reconciled and get it put right.
Yes. So but
yeah. And Andy said he's happy to help in the way he discussed.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. And if all falls through, we'll be talking about the Cunning Man and other things.
Yes.
So,
for those of you that are regular listeners, you may have heard on the on my observations about a hole that appeared in the Russian area. Yamal, which translated is the end of the world. Now, apparently, there's been 2 others that have suddenly appeared as well.
Has there?
Yes,
Oh.
and it's a very long way down. The actual sides actually look more like a moonscape, but at the bottom there's actually a frozen lake. That is obviously not frozen anymore.
Mm.
So now there's 3 holes. One more in the same area, and another one in northern Russia.
Oh dear! Wow.
So the Earth is saying, "Let me out."
Yeah, it's saying something, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree that it's gases and stuff that's evolved underneath and mixed with the water and stuff, and it's just a bit like a bit of an under Earth explosion kind of thing, just eroded everything.
Definitely. So, right. Well, what I thought I'd do actually, Steve, just to
Yes,
kill a bit of time.
Yes, Andy just said, in case you guys didn't get it, he's back up. If it doesn't happen, I'm talking about the cunning man and folk
He's back
magic.
up.
Yes, good old Andy.
I don't know. Right. Okay. So he's back up.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is just to kill a bit of time. I've noticed in the press.
And talking about folk magic, just before you go, we're going to have to get Roland back on at some point.
Yes, we will do. Our friend Roland. So now, I don't know whether you know, but there's been a lot of talk in the press this week, and even on Sky News, about a mysterious giant crop circle that has appeared overnight in a field belonging to a German farmer. It has attracted thousands of visitors. Hello, who's that? All right. It's attracted thousands of visitors from far and wide who have flocked to the scene to sing, dance, and meditate within the ornate design. One observer said, "I believe you can only rule out. You can only ask yourself, what can be definitely ruled out of a cause for this?" The newspapers are reporting that it was college students who raked the field, but when you see the elaborate designs of the circles from above, that seems very unlikely. These circles are looking very good. Another visitor added, "I think it's almost impossible for this to appear overnight, and to do it in such an exact and precise manner. How is it possible?" Measuring 75 metres in diameter, 246 feet, and was discovered by a balloonist flying over the wheat field near Wellham or something. Farmer Christoph Huttner, who owns the field, told the DPA news agency it was not his creation, but may have been the work of students on summer holidays. He added he was unsure whether he would be keeping the crop circle. Now that was what was said on Sky News. Now, obviously, these things happen round about. They seem to turn up between, I think it's April and September, don't they, Steve?
Yes.
They're patterns that are in a field.
There does seem to be a crop circle.
Yeah. They're created. Basically, the crops are actually tamped down, as they put it, but others are left intact, okay, to make these, what's names, these pretty patterns.
Yeah, so, and these things are not broken.
No, this is it. Even though the stalks are bent, they are not damaged. Most of the time, the crops continue to grow as normal. Sometimes the patterns are simple circles. In other instances, they are elaborate designs consisting of several interconnecting geometric shapes. Farmers have reportedly finding strange circles on their fields for centuries. The earliest mention of a crop circle was back in 1500s. A 17th century English woodcut shows a devilish creature making a crop circle. People who lived in the area called the creature the mowing devil. Now, the thing is, what are they? That's the trouble. But there's been so much elaborate designs, and the location of them seems to be in the south of England more than anything, primarily in the counties of Hampshire and Wiltshire. Many of them have been found near Avebury and Stonehenge. But crop circles are not confined to England. They are even being spotted in the United States, Canada, Australia, Japan, India, and other parts of the country. Now, the thing is, there has been some ideas of who's making these, right, and what they could actually be. But I just want to put this to you, Steve, and those in the chat room. Now, these are some of the theories that people think that the crop circles are, right? Some people think that the crop circles are either an imprint left by a landing spacecraft or messages brought from afar for us Earthlings. Some eyewitnesses claim to have seen UFO-like lights and strange noises emanating from crop circle sites. Some people think it's wind, perhaps. Probably the most scientific theory is that the crop circles are created by small currents of swirling winds called vortices, similar to dust devils. The spinning columns force a burst of air down to the ground, which flattens the crop. Vortices are common in hilly areas such as parts of southern England. But why? I think you can rule that one out because they're such an elaborate design, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, some of them from there, they actually look more like circuit boards.
Yeah, well, this is it.
So it makes you wonder if these are indeed done by outer earthly beings. Are they trying to show us something? Are they trying to teach us something?
Well, this is it.
Is it a case of I don't know. It sounds a bit corny, but build it and they will come.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But they go on to say aircraft. A few researchers have theorized that small airplanes and helicopters stir up downdrifts that push the crops down into patterns. Recreation attempts so far have not been able to produce the types of downdrafts necessary to make the perfectly round edges seen on most crop circles. Now,
no, they would. I mean,
if you can monitor the chat room, see what people are saying.
I mean, no, they wouldn't, because the downdraft would just do a complete circle from a helicopter. It wouldn't do the intricate designs inside it.
Well, this is it. So as I say, it's
well, the Viscount said, why use crop circles? Why not just tell us? Because most of us would brick it.
Yeah, probably would.
I think that's the case for a lot of them. It would just scare us too much. I think, as I was saying that, we've been drip fed this sort of stuff for years, so we probably wouldn't. They'd probably get somebody from the hood saying, "Yeah, man, what do you want?"
Well, this is it, but there are other theories. Let me just get back to it and see what you think of these. Earth energy. Now, what about this one? Some researchers believe that the Earth creates its own energy, which forms the circles. One possible form of Earth's energy is electromagnetic radiation. In fact, scientists have measured strong magnetic fields inside crop circles, and visitors have sometimes reported feeling a tingling sensation in their body while in or near the circles. In the early 1990s, American physicist Dr. William Levengood discovered that crops in circles were damaged, much in the same way as plants heated in a microwave oven. He proposed the idea that the crops were being rapidly heated from the inside by some kind of microwave energy. Other researchers say that the energy comes from under the ground or in the soil. Either the energy is natural such as a fungus that attacks the crops and causes their stems to bend over, or it is a byproduct of something man-made, such as a bomb that exploded during World War II. That still doesn't sound feasible, either because of the actual what's names, the designs. How can you actually say that this is what they are? You know, I'm going to put a link on there on some of the designs. I'm getting this information.
I'm doing that now.
Are you on where I am?
But I've put a link up that takes you to an images page on Google of some of the intricate designs on the crop circles.
Well,
look,
I'll put it.
You can see that from there. Look.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's some really intricate designs.
Yeah. This is what's written on how stuff works.
I mean, I would hesitant to say that I don't think some of these designs can be done overnight by a team of students. It's just too
intricate. But hold on, you're seeing one there that says shredded wheat.
Yeah, well, that obviously is that's an advertising thing. But look at that one there. Let
me just put this one on there for you to have a look at where I'm actually looking at these.
That's a processor. That's a computer chip.
Yeah, but then again, if people can do a shredded wheat one, how do we know? If you look at that link there, you'll see the sort of things that I'm looking at the moment. There's a couple there on the designs, but you know, and then they're saying humans. The easiest explanation for crop circles is that they are man-made hoaxes created either for fun or to stump the scientists. Amongst the most famous hoaxer as the British team of Doug Bauer and David Chorley, known as Dog and Dave. In 1991, the duo came out and announced that they had made hundreds of crop circles since 1978. To prove that they were responsible, they filmed themselves for the BBC making a crop circle with a rope and plank contraption in a Wiltshire field. See the next section for information on making a crop circle. I'll give you that link in a minute. Joe Nichols, Senior Researcher Fellow of the Committee for Science Investigation of the Claims of the Paranormal, says the crop circles have all the hallmarks of hoaxes. I don't know what you think about that. So the next section.
But that's the big problem here.
Yeah.
You've got people going out and doing it, like these guys with planks and wood and stuff like that. But at the same time, we're getting stuff that is just too intricate to be done in one night without lights and that, without being seen by somebody.
Yeah, this is what I can't understand. There's quite a lot on this howitworks.com, you know, and there's a bit here about how do researchers actually study crop circles. Well,
I know there was a big thing about, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was considered to be an expert on crop circles, and he actually come out and said yes, this particular crop circle was just that.
Yeah.
It was legit. And then 2 days later, two guys come out and go, no, it wasn't. We did it.
Yeah. Well, it says here, when researchers come to the scene of a crop circle, they conduct a thorough investigation, including the following methods: talking to the possible eyewitnesses and residents living nearby, examining the location and the weather where circles have been formed, examining the affected crops and the surrounding soil with sophisticated techniques such as X-ray diffraction and diffraction analysis. In other words, firing X-ray at a sample to determine its composite material, taking electromagnetic energy readings inside and near the crop circles, analysing the circle patterns. Some complex patterns are compared with hieroglyphics or other ancient symbols. Researchers have been pondering the question of crop circles for several decades, but they still haven't come up with a real answer as to why they exist. Now, as I say, there's a lot more information on there as well. I've just been reading snippets, but it is he's probably found something silly. Yeah, Little Miss Kitty or whatever her name is, Little Kitty or something. But this is it.
I mean, that's always going to be a problem. with all the hoaxes, there's going to be stuff like they said on there, Shreddy Reeds and
Little Kitty or
Little
whatever
Kitty
it is.
and what's
Yeah.
it? I mean, Andy said he was done when somebody did the where was it? Let me see. What was the one he said when he originally said it? I can't find it now. It's gone.
The one I'm looking at for Colin Andrews, Ace Paradox has just put up. He said, "What did you just say? This isn't. This was not done by students." The link that he just put up there, on the official Colin website, official website
Yes,
of Colin
that one.
Andrews. So
That one there.
yeah. Eyewitnesses to the formation of the crop circle opposite Stonehenge, posted in 2009. So it is something that
There's a bigger picture of
you
it.
know.
That one there.
Could these fake ones destroy the true concept? This is the thing, though. I think it will, Viscount. I think it will. But it's the same with all sorts of things in this genre, isn't it?
The same thing happens with us as groups.
Yeah.
We go out trying to find things, and you got people faking stuff.
Yeah.
Whether
apps and stuff like
it be on telly or whether it be anywhere else. I mean that's something that's annoying me at the moment.
Yeah.
Twice in the last week, stuff has been put up that people are just not checking, and it's just wrong. I mean the guy that was in Gilligan's Island, some idiot. It was supposed to be satire. The story's not funny, so it's not satire, so you can forget that idea.
Yeah.
But he's basically said it's been proved that the guy from Gilligan's Island was the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah.
It's like you've just destroyed the guy's name.
Yeah.
If nobody actually sees in small print at the bottom.
Yeah.
Which is after everybody's comments.
Yeah.
That it's satire. And damaged the guy's family name.
Well, this is it.
And by all accounts, the guy was an all-round good guy.
There's a lot of this sort of thing going around. Okay.
And then you had the one from the TV program,
Ghost Adventures.
Ghost Adventures.
That the guy's not dead, but obviously,
no, he's not
he
dead.
was supposed to have gone out and
someone's come out and said that that he's given interviews saying that everything on it was hoaxed.
Yeah, because it was the pressures of the TV channel.
And the guy knows nothing about this interview. In fact, he's in Ireland actually filming for Ghost Adventures, so he hasn't been sacked.
No, this is it.
Which is what the story actually said.
It's all propaganda, isn't it? Really.
But in some cases, this is destroying stuff.
Yeah. It is destroying
unfortunately,
stuff.
people see it on TV,
and
they believe.
Mm.
I mean, like Most Haunted, we've had people come to us on investigations, and they believe everything they see on Most Haunted.
Yeah,
we know as investigators that what you see on Most Haunted and programs like that, of which there are many, cannot happen the way it happened. It's impossible.
No,
it just doesn't happen that way. They forget that you got hours of filming, put everything down into small pieces because they need the ratings. They need to show something for the TV audience, and that is why this class is entertainment.
Precisely.
But people believe what they see and hear on TV and the likes.
Yeah, because like I say, with Most Haunted, for instance, people do come on our investigations and expect the knocks and bangs every 5 minutes, which we do tell them that it's a 50-minute show. You've got the adverts in between. The vet does her walkabout, the medium does their walkabout, and then you've got about 10 minutes of investigation, and then you're back with the vet saying it was a great night. So and they look at that and think, yes, we're going to get this happen, that happen, and when it don't happen, oh, it's a dead night, it wasn't haunted, blah blah blah. It was boring. So
I mean, I'm not for one instance saying that Most Haunted or any particular show has faked it, but the stuff out there, all you've got to do is Google it, and all this stuff just turns up, and some of it's legit, some of it's been set up on Movie Maker or whatever.
Though, whatever paranormal program is on TV, whether the people that are on it like it or not, and whatever they're doing, even if it's for investigation, research, or whatever idea they're doing it for, TV companies are always going to say it's for entertainment purposes.
They are, and they're always going to be asking for more stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, we was talking to Carl Beatty the other day, and Stuart the other week, wasn't we? And he turned around and said, we've got whole shows that would never even put out because absolutely nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
And they've just been stuck in a bin somewhere.
So, you know, but
that kind of show is no good for TV.
yeah, and talking about Most Haunted, they are coming back, bigger and better than ever, they say, and
Minus the mediums.
Minus the mediums, yes, and it's going to be on Really TV station.
Yeah, they've just started advertising it.
Yes, they have, and it's going to actually be on. Let me see. Calling all Ghost on Really fans, get ready to quake in those boots and brace yourself for a seriously scary summer. The First Lady of British ghost hunting is back. And does it say when? I think it's about the 23rd or something. This August will see the legendary Yvette Fielding return to our screens with an exciting and eerie new series of Most Haunted, exclusive to Really. Okay, so as I say, I'm not sure. It doesn't actually say when it started, but I think they said something about the 23rd or something or other. But watch this space, and I will update people in future unless I find out in the next few minutes. But yeah, it's
and yes, Andy, really with no mediums.
Really with no mediums.
How
yeah.
are they going to do it? I do not know. But
So,
I know Fred Batt's part of the team, so that I'm sure they'll be working with the demonic side somewhere along the line with that. Although apparently Fred Batt is Mr. Scaredy Cat. He's the first to get scared about things.
Is he really?
Well, that's what they were saying on the question and answer session that was at the Club Zero meeting.
Right. Okay. So as I say, it's I'm not finding what I'm looking for at the moment. So as I say, I will try and find out for you. I'm sure I said it was going to be about the 23rd.
It's the 23rd, 21st, 23rd, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So,
yeah, Simon said. I think it was Simon. 21st. He says he saw the advert the other day.
All right, 21st. Thank you for that, Simon. So, saves me looking. But anyway, well, that's what we think about crop circles. Anyway, it's still an enigma.
But love these shows or hate them. Most Haunted, yes, because it's a British one. It did help get people's interest up and going. Before that, there was very few groups. There was not a lot going on.
And talking about shows, yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Jenny Bryant and the crew at Ghost GC UK, which I can't remember what GC UK is. Ghost something UK. Ghost Chasers, I think it is, UK. Something like that. It's GC UK anyway. They will be working on a brand new ghost hunting series with actor Luke Goss from Bros. I'll get it right. Actor Luke Goss from Bros.
Whose teeth have you got today?
I don't know. At the helm. GC UK will be working alongside Goss's LA-based company G Productions to bring you an exciting ghost hunting series. Luke Goss will not only be producing, he will also be directing and will feature in a select number of investigations along with the GC UK team. After many months, they have been given the go-ahead to make this announcement, and Jenny Bryant herself is over the moon. It's going to be called The Hunt, and so there will be more updates and sneak peeks to come. So if you're interested in the paranormal, then keep your eyes peeled. There is a new Facebook page if you'd like to go and have a look. So GC UK have made it into the paranormal business industry, as in the film industry and stuff like that, series. So good luck to them. Isn't it, babe?
Yes, let's see how that one follows through.
Yeah, we'll have to. So
I hope it does. I mean, so many of these shows get get the first one in the can and goes out there to see who wants it. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't go any further.
No.
So good luck to them, and hope this one does.
Yeah. Right, just to recap on Carla, she said, thanks, guys. As usual, great host.
Oh, that's nice of her.
It's nice of her. Loves your DBV, Steve's DBV, that departing body vision or whatever it is, about your brother-in-law.
Yep.
She's got brother here.
Yeah, John's,
and hugs to us both.
Yeah, John's actually said he will write it down and send it to her if she wants it.
Yeah. And basically, she says hugs to both of us.
That's nice.
So that was nice of her, wasn't it?
It is.
And so basically, that's about it for tonight.
Coming soon.
As I mentioned earlier on in the show, next week at 8:30, even though we start at 8 o'clock,
yes.
But at 8:30, when we normally have our guest on, we will be talking to Stephen Richards on the law of attraction and the power of the mind. He's a man that I've been after getting hold of for ages. Qualified clinical hypnotherapist and stress counsellor, Stephen Richards, also known as the Golden Pen, is an international best-selling author of over 80 titles, and his many successful self-help books have been translated into foreign languages. Prior to 1995, Stephen was penniless until he started using mind power and has applied the principles to help others turn their lives around. We're going to be finding more about this and what it's all about with Steve, as I said, about 8:30 next Sunday. But don't forget, if you would like to be on the show, then email us at admin@ktpf.co.uk. We are always open to discuss any specific area within this genre, whether it be ghosts, monsters, psychic phenomena, or other supernatural and unexplained mysteries. Remember, this is your show too, so get involved. We hope you enjoyed tonight's show, and we look forward to having your company again next Sunday at 8 p.m. on www.ktpf.co.uk. Thank you for listening to the KTPF show, recommended by Phenomena Magazine, the UK's leading online publication, and sponsored by Craigenos Castle, South Wales, one of the most haunted castles in Wales. For more information on ghostly and ghastly events, including fright nights, all-night investigations and hen parties, visit www.mosthauntedcastle.com. So until then, we'll see you all next week, 8 o'clock sharp. But remember, keep the paranormal friendly.
Yeah, keep it friendly, guys, as always.
This is where it's at.
To see in the night, to measure the spike, to see how cold it's been. I buy my kit so I won't forget the ghosties that I have seen. The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.